We found out this week that we have a few players who will be missing the Birmingham Bowl because they are entering the NFL draft. And those three players are Roger McCreary, who was cornerback for Auburn this past season and had just an all-out fantastic season. And that raised his draft stock quite a bit to the point that they are predicting him to go in the mid to late first round of the NFL draft. We also have linebacker Zacoby McClain and most recently right tackle Brodarius Ham. All three of these guys will be sitting out for the Birmingham Bowl, and part of that is due to them entering the NFL draft. Outside of these three players, we have another 8 who will be missing the Birmingham Bowl for different reasons. Part of that is due to injury, and some of that is due to the fact that they entered the transfer portal. So first, let's talk about the injured Auburn Tigers who will not be playing, and then we'll get into the ones who are transferring. So first, we have Nick Brahms, who was the starting center for Auburn for most of the year this past season. After the regular season was over, he had a knee surgery, so he is recovering from that surgery and will not be able to play versus Houston. We also know that Anders Carlson suffered a torn ACL. So due to him recovering from that surgery, he will also be out for this bowl game versus Houston. Outside of those two injuries, we had 6 players who entered the transfer portal, and therefore they will not be playing. The most obvious of those players is quarterback Bo Nix. He decided to enter after graduating, spending 3 years at Auburn. He is graduating, and he will be transferring away. There's a lot of rumors swirling around Bo Nix as far as where he's going to end up. Nothing definite as of right now, and I've mentioned a couple of these rumors, but there's a newer one that's popped up within the past week or two. So the first one that people said, the first school people speculated that he would go to is UCF because of the connection with Gus Malzahn. I don't see that happening unless he just really enjoyed playing for Gus and wants to see him again. I don't think that's a likely scenario. The other school that we saw come up was Cincinnati. You also got a tweet or an Instagram post from Bo Nix where he mentioned that he thought Cincinnati could beat Bama. That could have just been an honest thought from him, or it could have been him saying, hey, I like Cincinnati. No way to be sure right now. And then the final place that Bo Nix may be interested in, and keep in mind these are all rumors. We recently heard that Coach Lane Kiffin is interested in Bo Nix and may or may not have been talking to him, but that would keep Bo Nix in the SEC West, and it would be a team that Auburn would play next year, so that would keep things a little interesting. As far as where he's actually going to end up, there's no way to know, and Bo Nix and the coaches he will play for are the only ones who know that. So please keep that in mind as you see rumors popping up. I have a feeling that based on that no contact tag he has on himself, that he has an idea of where he is going, but we'll have to wait for that news to be revealed to us within the next couple of weeks. So when you see people claiming that they know where he's going, I would be very skeptical until you hear it from Bo Nix or a major news outlet. Now let's quickly run through the other 5 transfer players who will be missing and where they might be going to school for the next season. So the other 5 players are Tayshawn Manning, and he will be going to Kentucky. Elijah Canyon, who is going to Purdue. Caleb Johnson, we're not sure where he's going yet. Ladarius Tennyson, who is going to Ole Miss. Could there be a connection between him and Bo Nix? Maybe. And finally, the one that did not surprise everyone, but I think hurt everyone a little bit because he is a, I don't want to say a favorite player, but a lot of people like him. Shaun Shivers, who was running back at Auburn and kind of got that third QB. He was the third running back in line this past season. And I think what was really the line for Shaun Shivers was when he did not get to play in the Iron Bowl of his senior season. That probably hurt a little bit and probably played into his decision to go away from Auburn, enter the transfer portal, and now he's going to Indiana. Since we are talking about the bowl game, there are 2 kind of directions I want to go with the rest of this video. So there's 2 parts I want to hit on. The first part, I want to get into my thoughts in general on players opting out of bowl games. And then the last part, I want to talk about my opinion on what bowl games have become that are not the college football playoff. Here are my thoughts on players opting out of bowl games. And there's kind of two camps you can fall into. There's the old school mentality, which is you should play in the bowl game no matter what because you made a commitment to the school. Therefore, you should fulfill that commitment by playing in every single game you are able to. And I certainly understand where that mentality comes from. It's thinking more about the team as a whole, which I completely get and I completely agree with from the standpoint of a university. The problem is that the power dynamics have really shifted in college football. It's shifted away from the coaches, it's shifted away from the teams, and it's really shifted to the players. A lot of that has happened for a variety of reasons that I'll get into in just a moment. That's really what's happened. So as far as my actual opinion on should players opt out of bowl games, so you have that first thought, which is they should fulfill their commitment. The other thought is they should do what's best for them. And if that means they sit out of the game, then they sit out of the game or they opt out of the game. I kind of fall somewhere in the middle. And honestly, I don't think people should jump to opting out of the bowl game. But at the same time, they have to do what is best for themselves because nobody else is going to be looking out for them. Let me give you a scenario to help you think about this and why I'm okay with players opting out of bowl games. Look at where Auburn is. Well, I would say if you're in the college football playoff and you opt out, I don't get that. But if you're in a bowl game that's basically an exhibition and it does not matter, yeah, opt out of it if it's in your best interest. So let's think about Roger McCreary. He's opted out of the bowl game. He's expected to go high in the NFL draft in the mid to late first round. How would you feel as a fan if he played in the Birmingham Bowl and then he had a career-ending injury in the Birmingham Bowl and therefore did not get to go to the NFL? That's something to think about. So when you look at a scenario like that, you have to agree that players have to do what's best for themselves. I know that opting out of bowl games is a polarizing topic, but I'd love to hear your opinion on this option that players have. Are you in the camp that thinks that players should fulfill their commitment and play in every single game they can, or do you think players should do what's best for themselves? Let me know in the comments. The next thing I want to talk about is what bowl games have become in general. And the bowl games I'm talking about exclude the college football playoff. So if you're in one of those games, whole different story. But if you're in one of the bowl games that is not going to get you to a national championship, they have completely changed. You know, 10, 15 years ago, bowl games were one thing. And I remember honestly being more excited about watching all of the bowl games. It just felt different. But now that we have some of the things that have changed and we have all these players opting out, that's really the main thing that's changed. Now that we have players opting out of all these games, and I'm not disagreeing with that decision from them, but it has changed the nature of the game. It's changed the nature of these bowls. They are no longer like the cap on the season they used to be. They've really become more of, think like an NFL preseason game. These games, the ones that don't matter are more of an exhibition. They're really a chance for the players who did not get much playing time to show off. It's a chance for the coaches to see what some of these guys who were on the bench or did not get much playing time, see what they can do, because some of your starters are going to be gone. They are opting out to go to the NFL. We've got some starters who are transferring. And now that leaves some openings. That leaves openings for starters, but we only have one game. So if you're a coach for a team like this who's not in a major game, you're Brian Harsin, this is a chance for you to see what your players have who could start next season, or you just want to get a better look at them. So this is where, and we've already started seeing reports about this, this is where you can get a good look at players like Demetrius Davis, because Bo Nix is gone. TJ Finley has not been an all-star in the games he's been in. So you've got to question as a coach, who is your starter going to be? I would be getting as many looks as I can at some of these players in real game experience. So I expect when we watch the Birmingham Bowl on the 28th, I expect Demetrius Davis to get some reps and get some snaps. And I can even quote Brian Harsin, some of what he said. So as far as quarterback Demetrius Davis goes, here's some of what he said. He's getting reps now, which is good. He's had more reps. He's getting into a groove. We're getting a chance to just see how he can operate. So that alludes to the fact that he might get some playing time, and I think that's a good thing. So we've got to kind of shift our mindset with these bowl games. The ones they don't matter. It's not going to change the outcome of the season. These games really need to be looked at as preseason games. Who do you have on the team that can start next year? Who needs some playing time? Who can you get a good look at so that you can make a prediction and kind of prepare your team for the following season? And as a fan, I think that's what you've got to look at. This is more of a game about which players can we see more of who could make a big impact in 2022. Because the truth is, for a lot of these teams that are not playing in the college football playoff, by the time they make it to their bowl game, their team doesn't even look the same as it did when the season started. So you're not even going to see the same team you watched all season. Therefore, let's get some good looks. Let's see what these guys can do. Let's be prepared for the next season. Those are my thoughts on 3 kind of hot topics, and I'd love to hear what you think in the comments below. So here are the 3 things I want you to comment on right now. The first one is going to be, tell me your thoughts on players opting out of bowl games. Are you more of the old school mentality where you think they should fulfill their commitment? Or are you more of the new school where you think they've got to do what's best for themselves? The second question is, what have bowl games become to you? You heard my thoughts. Let me hear your thoughts below. And I'm not talking about the college football playoff, but the other bowl games. What have they become in your opinion? And then finally, 3, let's go ahead and make a prediction about Bo Nix. Where do you think he's going to land? I told you some options I've heard. Nothing is definitive. So where do you think Bo Nix will end up? And then finally, if you have seen the news recently, you know that Auburn's new offensive coordinator is Austin Davis. And if you want to see more about him, you can click right there.